guys, so today I'm in the polytunnel and what I'm going to be doing is popping some of my tomatoes in the ground. Quite excited. We've got some nice new compost down. I counted yesterday, I think we've got 63 tomato plants, so there's no way I'm going to get them all in the tunnel, so I'm going to pot some up in bigger pots on the patio as well and see how they do. But yeah, so I'll show you how I grow my tomatoes in the polytunnel. You can see what I've done first of all is I've put a string across the top here, and then I'm going to put vertical strings running down for the plants to grow up. I'm probably going to end up putting it a little bit closer together than technically you should, but obviously I'll make sure it's well watered and well fed and everything else. I've got some cucumbers that I want to put in here as well, and cucumbers and tomatoes do grow really well together. You can put them right next to each other. So I think I've only got about 6 cucumber plants, so I'm going to probably just pop them in between some of the tomatoes. And I'm undecided about the chilies yet because they're still quite small. So what I might do is I might just put them in bigger pots, and then I just leave them in pots, to be honest, and kind of spot them about in the tunnel. I think the cucumber melons are going to end up going in the raised beds. They're quite hardy, so they should be alright outside. But I want to get as many tomatoes in here as I can without overcrowding. And then I'm going to spot some little lettuces and marigolds. Lettuces and marigolds on the floor among the tomatoes too. Some basil, because basil grows really well with tomatoes. So I've got all of this space, so if the tomatoes are all growing along the back there, then I've still got all of this space, so I could possibly kind of do a zigzag sort of vibe and put some extra supports in. So I think I'm going to do that. As you can see, I've got a whole bunch of tomatoes in the ground. Loads of them, but I still have loads left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the cucumbers sort of randomly spaced about. I'll probably put one at the back there. Okay, so something that I would sometimes do, I've decided against it this time because I'm here every day. I can just water everything by hand at the moment. But if I was at work, or this was an allotment rather than my home garden, what I would do was take old pop bottles, take the labels off. I'd poke holes all around the bottom and all up the sides, and I'd bury it in next to the tomato plants, like right next to them, up to about the neck. And then about once a week I'd unscrew the lid, pop the hose in, fill up the bottle and pop the lid back on to stop any dirt or bugs getting in. And then that will sit in the ground and the water will gently and slowly leach out into the roots of the plant. So that way you know that your plants are being watered, and they're being watered at the root, not on the leaf. Because where I'm here all the time at the moment, I can come in with my sort of precision can and I can carefully water the roots of all the plants. So in the interest of sort of saving space and time, I'm not going to bother with the bottle method this year. That's something that you can do if you can't be on your vegetable patch all the time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let these tomato seedlings grow a little bit bigger before I do the vertical strings, actually, because they're still quite small. They don't really need that much support yet. The slightly bigger ones I'll put canes on. But basically what I'll do is from these horizontal strings, I'll put vertical strings and use like a soft wire tie to just attach the tomato plant to them so that they can then climb up and it will support them. And I can do that all the way up to the centre point if I need to, if they grow that high. I know some of these varieties that I have in here grow about 8 foot tall, so yeah, so then they can just grow all the way up the sides of the polytunnel. And I think, because it's very hot in here, I think that's about all I'm going to do for today, or for now anyway. I'm going to go get some lunch, and then I might come back out and plant some lettuces down the side of the walkway. I changed my mind, I decided to put some lettuces in the ground anyway. I've got these little gem things which I've left in the sort of seed tray a bit too long, and they're all getting a bit long and they're all getting tangled up with each other, so I thought I'd whack them in the ground, see if they're, you know, see if they flourish in the ground. So I'm just going to do I'm just going to dot them in the ground really where there's space, because they don't need a lot of room. So I've got one, this one's looking a bit sad, isn't it? Some are smaller than others, but yeah, it's just a little salad garden really. Got tomatoes, cucumbers and lettuces, and I'm going to have chilies in pots. As I said, it's a bit more crowded than it probably should be technically, but I'm limited on space and I'm just going to see what happens. I can always thin the plants out a bit more if I decide I need to. It brings me such joy. So these around here are all little gem lettuces. I thought I'd just wang them in the ground. Just going to see what happens. So I've got all this in there, ready to start growing up. And then I think I'll put some marigolds in here tomorrow. And while I was thinning out the radishes, I picked a few babies that I'm going to have for a snack. There we go. Little baby ones. So I'm just going to clean those up and have those for a little snack. Hope you enjoyed watching me potter about in my polytunnel. Yeah. And I will keep you updated with the progress as things grow and as I have more things in. So comment down below, let me know what you guys are doing in your garden, and I'll see you all soon.